Did you see that? You see that little raven flying through the haunted forest? That's what we're going to build today. This is a Procreate Dreams skill drill, and it's a very simple exercise in learning the importance of anchor points. So our animation here is complete. The bird flies in from the right, crosses the spooky forest, flapping the wings. And we're going to reconstruct, first deconstruct, how this was built. And it really is just a little simple trickery with 2D animation. You know, Procreate Dreams is a 2D animating program. It's not, we're not working in 3D models, but we're creating a little bit of an illusion here as these wings flap. So as we're kind of coming through, it's quick enough that we don't have to be very super anatomically proper, and it is also cartoon style. So if you look what's happening as the wings are flapping, it's real enough, it's convincing enough. And we're going to show you how to get that effect. So in order to reconstruct what was done here, we're actually going to deconstruct. I'm going to walk you kind of backwards and then forwards through this process. I have a background image, just an illustration. For now, it's a little distracting, so I'm actually just going to turn off that layer. It's the bottom track, turn it off. And all we're going to work with right now is the bird. Now, where is the bird? So the bird is created out of 3 tracks and it's grouped. And if we take a look down here, we can see if I open up this group, it is all there. You can see in the tracks I've got, and if I hover, we can see the bird kind of fly through. But in the very beginning here, the bird is located off to the right. It starts over here. So we're going to close this group up. The animation that brings the bird across the screen happens to the whole group. So the set of keyframes down here is making it move from the right to the left. Has nothing to do with the flapping. It has only the part to do with the bird actually moving across the screen. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to click on where the keyframes are, the little area bar below the track. Delete all that move and scale. Now that's left my bird stranded over here. So let's grab the group, select the whole thing, and just bring it right into the middle so we can see this little guy again. Now I'm going to open this group up. Since we're really deconstructing, I'm actually going to click on the group and ungroup it. So it's back into the original kind of pieces that it was built from. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this back wing. The back wing is the one that I've placed behind the bird. So I'm going to delete that whole track. Now it only has one wing. That's okay. We're also going to take the wing that does exist. You got to get in there and really click on the whole bar, delete. So now really what it's down to is I have a bird layer and a wing layer, and they're separate. Or I'm saying layers because that's how we're used to working, right? These are tracks, but they do behave very similar to how layers would be in Procreate. I'm just dealing with this wing. The way I made it flap was I used performance mode, and I just literally flapped it. But the first most important thing that had to be done was when I selected this wing, I had to go up to the 3 dots here and edit where the anchor point would be. By default, your anchor point, these little crosshairs, usually defaults to being in the center of your object. And so let's see, if I move this anchor point up to where it would have defaulted, and then I say, okay, performance, we're going to go and do a little move and scale action here. If I was going to flap it, that's kind of silly. That's not going to work. So I'm going to click undo on that, go back to the beginning of my animation, and make sure that I edit the anchor point so that it's hinging down where, you know, the bird's body would meet the wing. Then when I do a performance action here, it's going to record what I do, and I'm going to just flap this wing. There's one more really important thing. Performance mode has a motion filtering setting when we're in need to pay attention to. We have the ability to modify our motion filtering. I reduced my filtering so that I could get a snappier, more responsive effect. If I want smooth and stable, then I would increase the filtering. Two-dimensional animation program. When we're kind of scaling something on an axis, we do get a distortion. So that is kind of giving us like a 3D effect of that wing being flat and then tilting in space, going down, going back up again. So that's a pretty cool effect, especially since it's just going to fly right by. You don't have to get very, very scientific about it. The way it's animating right now is good, so we just want to duplicate that wing and put that on the other side of the bird so it has two wings. The way to do this can be a little bit tricky. If you just long press and you just duplicate what you have here, it's going to duplicate this animation again over down further on the timeline. Instead, you want to go to the track options and hit that duplicate. See, it's a little similar there. So track options, duplicate, that gives you another track exactly like what you have. So you've got a duplicate. And what we want to do is get that second wing, or one of them. Right now they're identical. So drag one of those wings behind the bird. Okay. Now, again, because they're identical, we can't see a difference. But if we go to the track behind the bird, get out of performance mode, select it. I'm going to go up here, hover. I have this little round rotation. Now it's scaling, undo. I want to rotate this a little bit so that we have a little difference. We can kind of see that second wing over there. And I think I'm even going to scale it down just so it's a little smaller in the distance. And if we hit play, now we have a bird that has two wings. It's going to fly a little more evenly, I think, right? So that right there is your anchor points at work. And remember, motion filtering. If you want a nice, quick, no-nonsense kind of, quicker action on your performance, it only works on your performance, make that motion filtering be very, very low. Now that we have the bird, the two wings, I'm going to stop this. And we're just going to kind of slide out here. I want to grab, I have an extra track in here that I'm just going to delete. I'm going to grab these three. This is the bird and the two wings. Click and group. Once that's a group, now we can go back again, just deselect that. Go in and just click the whole group, and I can move this bird. I can position it off stage. I can make it a little bit bigger if I wanted to. All of it will get bigger. I can make it a little smaller. And I'm going to just start my animation off to the side there. Now all we need to do is animate the entire group of the bird. For that, I'll do performance mode again. But this time, in the modifications, I do want a little filtering because I want it to kind of drift and not be bouncing through the forest. So I'm going to just put a little filtering. Again, this kind of only affects how my Apple Pencil and my movement is interfacing in performance mode. Let's play ahead all the way to the beginning. It's ready to record as soon as I start making contact with the Apple Pencil. So here we go. Just going to kind of bring it through. Very quick. So its flight is over by 3 seconds. It's almost over. There it is. Get it off the screen. Let's play it back. It helps to give myself more space when I'm trying to drag something from side to side on this whole stage. I need that extra space to move my hand, or else my bird keeps getting stuck at the side. So I'm going to hit performance mode, fly it through all the way out. So now you know the power of moving your anchor points. So remember, if you're rotating a bicycle wheel, of course you want that anchor point to be in the center, and all the spokes will be animating from that central axis. But sometimes you want to move that anchor point so that you can have a hinging effect. And this is a perfect example of that.